here with our midweek analysis. Brian, hope you had a great Halloween with your family. 4-4 with 4 games left here, and I know that Coach Prime isn't worried about a bowl game, but you and I have been around this program for a long period of time, and I'd sure as heck like to cover a bowl game.
Right.
At the end of this deal, and even Trevor Woods admitted when he talked to us today that he hasn't played in a bowl game yet, and that's a motivational piece for him.
Yeah, and he was asked, is this season a success at this point? He goes, well, obviously it's better than last year, but I wouldn't call it a success at this point. And I do think, Coach Prime's point is we want to win every game, and a bowl game comes with that if you win enough games. And so I get that's not his focus, but a bowl game would be big for this program. And for guys like Trevor, he got here right after the 2020 season with the Alamo Bowl, so he hasn't played in a bowl game, and a lot of guys have not played in a bowl game. And there's some of those guys from Jackson State that might have played in the Celebration Bowl, but a lot of guys have not played in a bowl game, and that's a big deal. Coach Prime even said it a few weeks ago. I remember, hey, we were fortunate enough when I was a player to go to 4 bowls, and you get all this nice swag and everything. The players know that, and they want that, and so they got 4 chances to get 2 wins and try to get that bowl game and get that swag from wherever it is, the Sun Bowl, Independence Bowl, wherever it is. I don't think they care. Just get to a bowl game.
And when you're 7 to 10 dogs away from being really competitive as a football program, I think the commentary that we would have all offseason about how Colorado went from 1-11 to a bowl game would be huge for this program. I mean, they've got a guy in Jordan Seaton coming out on a visit this weekend from IMG Academy that is about as plug and play as you can get as an offensive line recruit. And so I think that for some of those fringe recruits where now you're elevating your NIL collective a little bit, to have that 6th win on your resume after year 1 would be just so huge for this program.
Yeah, it would be huge. And I mean, 5-7 would be a big deal, but you get that 6th win and you're playing in December. And again, at that point, it doesn't really matter. I get that there's only certain bowl games that really, really matter. But when you're playing in December, and sometimes on those days you're the only game going, or you're the only game in that time slot, that's a big deal. And so I think that's huge for this team going forward, and being more attractive to transfers, being more attractive to high school recruits. And transfers, obviously, that's what they really need. And I think transfers are seeing what's going on, but you get to that bowl game, and it just gives it that extra push.
There's no better group to look at as a microcosm of where this program is right now than the linebackers group. We had a chance to talk to Andre Hart today, and there's talent in that group, but man, it's been trying to put different pieces in there and figure it out. In Juwan Mitchell, whatever happened with him didn't help because it seemed like he was their most talented guy at that position. So it's a program that has a bright future, but they're still figuring out different pieces within it.
Yeah, and you're right. That group right there is one that, how many guys did we hear about that they were excited about? Demoy Kennedy, Marvin Ham, coming back from last year, was having a great offseason. When Juwan Mitchell gets here, it was like, wow, okay. Yeah. You get this, really talented guy that he did show that, early on, but then, something happens off the field. To be at that point at linebacker where you're moving a safety into linebacker, I think is not good, for the linebacker group. But it says a lot about where this team is. That they're still trying to figure things out, like to your point, in a lot of areas. But linebacker is sort of that microcosm for it, and that they've got good players, but they still got to move them around, and they still got to figure out which are the best players at every spot.
It's got to be a result that's duplicated, but I would say if Charles Kelly and this defense hold Oregon State to under 30 points this Saturday, you'd have to feel really good about that group. That's kind of the number I'm looking at, and we'll get more into that Oregon State matchup. But especially a team that is going to probably grind it out a little bit more than your average opponent. That's a number that would make me feel pretty good about this defense going forward if they're able to do that again.
Yeah, and really. They obviously had a bad second half against Stanford, but really good first half against Stanford. And then I know the yardage total was not great against UCLA, but they wore down. I mean, there's always so much you can keep a team down. I thought they played a great game against Stanford or against UCLA defensively. You hold any team to 28 in the Pac-12, you should have a shot to win that football game, and they still lost by 12 points. And so if the defense plays like that, plays like they did in the first half against Stanford, I like their chances in this game this week.